go back to Steve. Steve, apparently you're a new arrival to chiropractic treatment, chiropractic care.
Yeah, I suppose I've played first grade for so long, and I'm, you know, if I get an injury, I'll go see the physio. And as soon as I am training back in the paddock, that's it. I won't see the physio again. So I'm probably pretty hopeless in that regard and looking after your body and stuff like that. But how it sort of came about, me sort of getting involved with Dave, I had a groin injury. The start of last year, the first game I played, hurt my groin. I just went to pass the ball. I think it's my right foot was out. I sort of passed across my body, and I heard this little sort of pop. They pulled me off the side, tried to run, couldn't run. Went and got scans, checked it all out. 2 weeks later, they're still sort of going, oh, you know, we're not really sure what's wrong. I suppose the doc probably doesn't want me to say this, but it was literally 4 or 5 weeks later, I still couldn't jog, and they sort of didn't really have an answer what was wrong with me. So the season's ticking along, and I suppose the coaching staff are saying, well, come on, we're paying these guys money, we want answers.
And you're getting desperate, of course, you want to get back on that.
Yeah, that's right, and it's frustrating. I think I said to some friends at the time, you know, you'd rather break your arm or your leg or something and say, look, it's going to be 6 weeks, it's going to be 8 weeks, and you know your recovery time. And touch wood, I've been pretty lucky with injuries throughout my career. That's the worst injury I've had, this groin injury. So it's a hard time for an athlete because without an answer, you don't know whether you're going to get back to where you were, whether you can compete again. And if you do get back, am I going to be able to do the same things I did and finish my career? And a friend, Mark Gerard, who'd seen Dave, sort of said, come and go see this guy, he's good. It's something a little bit different than you're used to, because I've never had chiropractic or anything before. And I think that was about 8 weeks, was it, into my injury? 7 or 8 weeks. And went and did some scans and checked it all out. And did a little bit of work. And I was probably back on, I think I missed 11 weeks all up. And I suppose, looking back now, it would have been handy to see that, you know, have these insights at the start of my injury rather than waiting for 8 weeks and everyone's sort of going, well, it's getting a little bit better, maybe you should go and see someone. So it's that's how it all came about, and it's I see Dave once every 4 weeks or 3 weeks. If I get a little niggle or something, I'll go see him a little bit more. But it's the relationship between sort of physios and chiros. I didn't really tell our club physio that I was going to see Dave. It was sort of, I didn't tell anyone. I sort of slipped off and saw him and said, you know, don't feel bad, but I haven't told the physio or anyone that I'll come to see you. So if anyone asks, I'll be here. So it's I ended up having to tell our doctor, I said, look, I've seen this chiropractic bloke, blah blah blah, and he's stressing out. You know, I don't see him all the time. You don't have to see him 3 or 4 times a week. You know, this and that. And it worked out for the better. And talking to Dave at other points, it's hard, that relationship that doesn't really get on. For me, being a sports person, not really having any need for physios or chiropractic throughout most of my career. Now, having been introduced to it and going to see him every 4 weeks, as I said, I can't see, you know, especially with the rugby league team, I think the salary cap's about $4.1 million a year. You've got all these guys on the field, and yet they won't use all the avenues that they do to just get a basic checkup. Even if it's at the start of the year, say, look, let's check everything out. You might be fine. You're genetically very good. All this and that. You know, maybe you're a potential. Your back's a little bit. You know, you could be a potential for hamstring injuries. Just a little checkout, which wouldn't really cost a lot of money, I don't think, for the club that's got $4 million a year worth of players running around, and yet there's still this, I suppose, relationship that doesn't really work. And you know, I think it's, you know, it needs to be. I've got a couple of the boys in that have had a little back and, you know, come and see this bloke, but don't tell me the physios.
It's probably a case of that they don't know.
I won't remind
They don't know what they don't know. Perhaps the challenge is for chiropractors to get out there and tell us what. So these two broken down athletes hobbling along in the twilight of their careers presented themselves to you, Dr. David. What happened? What do you do with a
Well, Steve's was an interesting case that, pretty, you don't mind saying, do you? What was that?
No.
I mean, basically it was a pubic symphysis pain, like, you know, if it was tissue or lesion, I mean, who really knows exactly what was giving him the pain there, but it was superior pubic pain, and palpation-wise there was a pelvic deficiency. Going back historically, 6 weeks pre-season, he thought he'd had a rectus femoris, possible little bit of a tweak in there. You heard something there, didn't you? You thought maybe 6 weeks. But yeah, in the leg there.
Just had a leg. I got a really bad cork in my thigh.
That's right.
And I couldn't. Can anyone in? I'll take it. I got a really bad cork at training. We were back for 3 or 4 weeks, and I got a really bad cork in my thigh, and I couldn't even jog for about 8 weeks. The whole muscle just filled up with blood, and I couldn't even bend my leg. And Dave sort of said that obviously the way I was walking and hobbling for that 8 weeks probably put my pelvis and everything out of alignment, which after that we would have been back training for another 8 or 10 weeks before I actually hurt my groin. So I was probably carrying it the whole time until this one movement actually made it happen. Dave, you could talk more about that.
He was worried he'd have to get technical, and I understand pretty well. So anyway, long and the short it was, we said let's get some x-rays, and sure enough, pubic symphysis on one side was 2 to 3 millimetres high. As soon as we put the x-ray up, I didn't have to say anything. Steve pointed at the spot straight away, so diagnosed himself. So I suppose disappointing with that was a very, very simple problem that lasted 10 weeks, and I mean, as probably some of you know, the history coming up in the next few weeks is Steve, if he plays every game towards the grand, including the grand final, will equal the record, whereas if he would have got 1 or 2 more games through the season last year, it would have beaten it. So that's probably my disappointment, to think that something really simple lasted 10 weeks. But
so you're really dealing with a loser, aren't you?
I'm not saying that, you're bigger than me.